I thought my fiancé Daniel and I would have a smooth wedding. But at Grandpa's birthday celebration, I received a video of him kissing his childhood crush. The paparazzi on the other end threatened me with the video, demanding a payout. After all, with our subsidiary's IPO imminent, negative publicity was the last thing we needed. I called Daniel, only to hear heavy breathing. I'm not going to Grandpa's birthday. I need to be with Tiffany. He hung up, and I looked up with a bitter smile. Turning my head, I looked at my arch-nemesis, who was watching the scene unfold. Let's get married. We'll take over the Yi family. Interested? Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. Daniel and I had known each other since childhood. From an early age, I was an undeniable sucker for good looks. Coincidentally, Daniel's appearance happened to perfectly align with my aesthetic preferences. So, when I reached the age of first crushes, I launched a fervent pursuit of him without hesitation. Initially, he showed some impatience. But gradually, he neither accepted my advances nor explicitly rejected them. However, he often had various women fluttering around him, yet he never seemed interested in them, and I tacitly helped him send them away. Later, after college graduation, even though everyone in my family felt we weren't suitable, I still resolutely proposed to him. I always believed that as long as he had no one else in his heart, I would eventually win him over. But I never imagined that love could never be earned through one-sided devotion. It wasn't until Tiffany appeared that Daniel repeatedly crossed my boundaries. My patience for him was slowly, bit by bit, wearing thin. Seeing that I hadn't responded for a while, he reluctantly called me. I've always treated Tiffany like a sister, there's nothing more between us. That kiss happened when she was being harassed by some bad guys at the pub, and I went to help her. Don't overthink it. She's been feeling down lately. I don't feel comfortable leaving her alone, so I'll spend the next few days with her, helping her clear her head. As for Grandpa's birthday celebration, there'll be one every year. This year, I'm counting on you to handle things. Before he even finished speaking, I heard a delicate female voice on the other end, calling Daniel. Immediately after, faint, ambiguous sounds drifted through the phone. The call was then hastily cut off. I clenched my phone, telling myself not to care, but my eyes still uncontrollably welled up. Daniel, let's break up. The wedding scheduled for next month is also cancelled. However, there was no response from the other end of the line. At the birthday celebration, Marcus's tall and slender figure, with his perfectly proportioned physique, instantly became the center of attention. He leaned casually against the doorway. Hearing my words, a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes, and his handsome face gradually flushed. Our family has always upheld the family creed of one spouse for life. If you marry me. I had no patience for his rambling. If he didn't agree, I'd simply find someone else. Just as I was about to turn away, he hastily grabbed my hand, as if afraid I would slip away the next second. Marry you. Isn't that enough? Please don't go looking for anyone else. He quickly turned his face away, not daring to meet my gaze. I smiled subtly, watching him in silence. After a brief standoff, he awkwardly turned his head and met my eyes. Grace, you need to think this through. Once we're married, divorce is absolutely out of the question, unless I die. That was exactly what I wanted. I offered a small smile and nodded firmly. Of course, unless I die too. Actually, in terms of matching family status, Marcus was the marriage candidate Grandpa had chosen for me. Moreover, our families were long-standing family friends, knowing each other inside and out. We were well aware of Marcus's character, family background, personality, and upbringing. If I hadn't been so infatuated with Daniel's good looks, blinded by his charm, next month's wedding would have been ours. Grandpa was getting old and suffering from chronic health issues. He always worried that by this time next year, he wouldn't have the chance to celebrate another birthday. So this time, he invited all his old friends and associates. Ever since I proposed to Marcus, he instinctively took on the host's duties, helping me entertain guests and handle the small, trivial matters. He certainly worked hard all night. All night, Daniel didn't send me a single text message, and a call was out of the question. I opened my social media feed and saw a photo of him holding Tiffany's hand, along with a picture of a candlelight dinner. The caption read, "With him, red heart." I let out a soft laugh and promptly blocked both Daniel and Tiffany on my phone. 10 minutes later, Daniel's phone actually rang. I intended to hang up directly, but I accidentally pressed the answer button. This rotten phone, I'll replace it later. Daniel's voice sounded a little hoarse. I heard him take a sip of water, then speak indifferently. Grace, who gave you the nerve to block me on your phone? Tiffany twisted her ankle yesterday, and I took her to community hospital. Do you really have to be so petty? Listening to Daniel's brazen lies, I couldn't help but scoff. Oh, so you went hand in hand to community hospital for a candlelight dinner? There was silence on the other end for a few seconds, then he continued rambling. It's not what you think. Grandpa's birthday celebration is over, right? Do you want me to pick you up? I felt like Daniel simply didn't understand reason, so I decided to state it clearly again. Daniel, we've broken up. The wedding is cancelled. He paused, his tone full of disdain. Miss Grace, who do you think you are, some kind of siren? You've been chasing after me for so many years, besides me, what other man would dare want you? I've explained everything I need to. If you don't believe me, that's your problem. If you want to break up, do as you please, just don't come crying to me to get back together later. With that, he hung up the phone without hesitation. Although I was mentally prepared, watching the disconnected call, tears still flowed uncontrollably. Since we'd agreed to break up, the things in the marital home had to be moved out. Returning to the mansion, I found the password had been changed. I chuckled bitterly, defeated. I had no choice but to unblock Daniel. I called him several times, but he didn't answer. Just as I was about to give up, he finally picked up. His tone, however, was filled with contempt. You're truly pathetic, aren't you? How long has it been, and you can't stand the loneliness, already calling me? I couldn't be bothered with his nonsense and went straight to the point. Did you change the mansion's password? My things are still inside. That's the marital home for me and my future wife. Since we're breaking up, of course I'd change the password. Of course, if you're willing to accept Tiffany living with us after marriage, then I'll consider proceeding with the wedding as planned. He hung up after that. I was furious, though not about anything else. It was just that there were important items inside that Grandma left for me, things with significant sentimental value. I turned around, took a hammer from my car, and used every ounce of strength to smash the mansion's glass window. I was utterly exhausted by the time I finally made a hole in the window. Only then did I notice a cut on my arm, bleeding profusely. Ignoring the need for bandages, I rushed to the bedroom to retrieve my things and left. But the commotion was too loud, attracting neighbors and security guards. Well, isn't that Mrs. Yi? Why is she smashing windows to get into her own home? Haven't you seen the headlines? Mr. Yi was caught on camera checking into a hotel with another beauty. The security guard was afraid of trouble but also knew my identity. He stood by, cowering, not daring to say anything. I didn't pay attention to the neighbors' gossip. Don't worry, this doesn't concern you. If asks, just tell him I smashed it. If he gives you any trouble, come find me. With that, I pulled a business card from my purse and handed it to him. The security guard took the business card from my hand and then pointed to my arm. Your arm is bleeding. Do you want to go to community hospital to have it treated? I drove to a nearby community hospital. The wound looked intimidating, but it wasn't actually that deep. The doctor treated my wound and put in a few stitches. She reminded me not to get it wet for the next few days to avoid infection. As I left the exam room, I remembered that I'd had irregular periods for years. I was worried I might have a condition and had meant to get it checked, but I never found the time. Since I was already at community hospital today, I decided to make a detour to the gynecology department. To my surprise, while waiting for my number to be called, I saw Daniel and Tiffany. Daniel was carefully helping Tiffany out of the obstetrics department. Tiffany saw me first, greeting me with an enthusiastic smile. Grace, you're here too. Don't misunderstand, I've just been feeling sleepy and have a poor appetite lately. Daniel was worried about me, so he brought me to community hospital for a checkup. After speaking, her hand subtly caressed her stomach. The second before, Daniel had been utterly tender with Tiffany, but upon seeing me, his expression was one of undisguised disgust. Tiffany, you don't need to waste words explaining so much to her. She's not worth it. Grace, you're like a persistent ghost. You broke up with me and now you're chasing me to community hospital? What kind of scene are you trying to create now? Have some backbone. Can't you live without me? I'll be bothered with these two abnormal creatures and turned to leave. Grace, are you deaf or dumb? I'm talking to you, can't you hear me? Daniel caught up to me and forcefully yanked my arm. I immediately broke out in a cold sweat from the pain. For the stitches that had just been put in had probably split open again. He noticed my expression was off and then saw the injury on my arm. I didn't see it. Why didn't you tell me you were hurt? He frowned, looking at me, a hint of concern mixed with his impatience. Grace, even if Daniel doesn't like you, you shouldn't pretend to be sick to gain his sympathy. Be careful, Playing the boy who cried wolf too often will make people dislike you. Tiffany spoke up at just the right moment. I had to admit, Tiffany was truly a seasoned manipulative schemer. She could always provoke Daniel's suspicion towards me with a single sentence. Sure enough, as soon as Daniel heard Tiffany's words, he recoiled from me as if I were a plague, his impatience completely undisguised. Grace, you're truly unbearable. How old are you, playing such childish games? It's disgusting. How old? I was only half a year older than his dear Tiffany. How was it that when she was sick, she was a poor little thing, but when I was sick, it was a game? Disgusting? Thinking about it, I actually burst out laughing. Grace, what are you laughing at? Are you embarrassed because you've been exposed? I originally didn't want to bother with this insolent little schemer, but now she was brazenly prancing in front of me to annoy me. I walked up to her, raised my uninjured left hand, and slapped her. 5 finger marks instantly appeared on her fair cheek. I exhaled. Satisfying. Embarrassed? You, a mistress who hooked up with my fiancé, are so shameless. Why should I be embarrassed? Oh, no, wait. Ex-fiancé. Everyone loves a spectacle, even in community hospital, and the sight of the fiancé confronting the mistress was too tempting for curious onlookers. In an instant, we were surrounded by a crowd of people eager for entertainment. Tiffany covered her face with one hand and her stomach with the other, biting her lip, her eyes red from crying. It was a sight that would make anyone feel sympathy for a delicate woman. Daniel, my stomach hurts so much. With that, she went limp, about to collapse onto the floor. Daniel angrily pushed me away. Grace, what the hell are you doing? Tiffany is pregnant, she can't handle this kind of commotion. His force was too strong, and I hadn't expected him to push me. I lost my balance and began to fall backward. Damn it, not a single person in the surrounding crowd made a move to help me. Just as I was about to make intimate contact with the ground, I unexpectedly fell into a warm embrace. I didn't know when Marcus had arrived. Remembering my recent unsightly display, I felt a bit ashamed. His hand rested on my shoulder, patting it gently twice. This guy definitely had a way of charming people. I hadn't even had a chance to confront that scoundrel and his accomplice yet, but Tiffany was already eager for a scolding. For some reason, her face instantly darkened when she saw Marcus's attitude towards me. Grace, Daniel, and I are truly innocent. But, how is it that you have another man by your side so soon after breaking up? Could it be that you've been? She deliberately left the sentence unfinished, but the implication was clear enough for everyone present. Sure enough, Daniel, that brainless fool, immediately exploded. Grace, you've really got some nerve. You deliberately found some wild guy to stand by you just to spite me. How utterly reckless. Marcus had been sent abroad for schooling by his family since he was young and had only recently returned. If my family hadn't been close to his, I probably wouldn't have even known about his return. Furthermore, the Yi family's status didn't match ours, so they had almost no opportunity to know Marcus's identity or whereabouts. So, it was normal that he didn't recognize Marcus. A woman like you, my Yi family wouldn't dare to marry into our home. It's a good thing we're clearing the air today. We're breaking up, and the wedding is cancelled. He finished with an air of certainty. Indeed, I had indulged him too much over the years. Just as I was about to speak, Marcus, standing beside me, beat me to it. His voice wasn't loud, but it was firm and resonant. All these years, the resources and business opportunities your Yi family gained through our Grace, we won't quibble over them. Consider it compensation for you taking care of Grace for me all this time. However, I still need to remind you that as a qualified dog, you should know when to seize the moment. Don't mistake a little leniency for true importance. You should know that some things, once given, cannot be taken back. With that, he put his arm around mine, preparing to leave, when he noticed the blood-stained bandage on my arm. His face instantly darkened. It seems it's time to let you know what happens to a mad dog. I knew Marcus wasn't just all talk, but I never expected him to act so quickly. He took me to community hospital to have my arm restitched and bandaged. That same evening, he informed both sets of parents about my cancelled wedding with Daniel, but stated that his wedding with me the following month would proceed as planned. Although both sets of parents were open-minded, they were somewhat dumbfounded to hear that not only was I changing grooms, but the date and venue of the wedding remained the same. Grace, it's not that Sarah is old-fashioned, but I'm a bit confused. You mean, next month's wedding is still on, but the groom has changed to Marcus, right? That's correct, Marcus replied calmly, nodding. Oh, is that so? The reactions from both sets of parents were almost identical. It's good news, but Grace, you can't show favoritism. Marriage is a big deal, how can you be so rushed? Isn't this unfair to Marcus? There's no such thing as being unfair, Mr. David. I'm very happy to. I also think it's a bit rushed. We could plan it out and find a special day next year, couldn't we? I'm in a hurry, Aunt. Marcus's parents had no reservations. Once they realized we were serious about getting married, they expressed their approval. So now, it was Marcus's parents, Marcus, and I trying to persuade my parents. After much discussion, my parents finally relented and agreed. Then, to make it up to Marcus, they offered to transfer one of my mansions to him. I had no objections, as I truly felt I had inconvenienced him in this matter. Marcus didn't hesitate or act coy, he accepted it gracefully. Then, on the way back, he had already contacted the media to report the news of our upcoming marriage next month. At the same time, announcements were posted on his personal account and the Wen's official website. Having done all this, he finally sighed in relief, leaning on my shoulder for comfort. Now you can't run away. 7. Grandma passed away early, so Grandpa, living alone in the mansion, was bound to feel lonely. That's why I moved in with Grandpa a long time ago. Early in the morning, I was woken by an argument downstairs. The house staff all knew Grandpa liked peace and quiet and were aware of my schedule, so it could only be those people from the Yi family. I rubbed my forehead. Dealing with my parents last night had made it late, and I'd forgotten about those Yi family rats. I tidied my clothes and went downstairs, only to see Daniel sitting on the couch with Mrs. Eleanor and Tiffany, acting completely at home and at ease. Fortunately, Grandpa had gone to the company for his regular meeting today. Otherwise, I truly feared this group would upset him terribly. Well, what an unexpected visit. I wonder what brings my ex-boyfriend here with his mother and mistress. Hearing this, Daniel's face darkened again. Indeed, all these years I had indulged him, I hadn't ever treated him with such an attitude. Tiffany, on the other hand, immediately knelt on the floor, tears flowing instantly. Grace, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have clung to Daniel, causing a rift between you two. Although and I are truly innocent, if Grace is unhappy, then I am at fault, and I apologize. Daniel looked at Tiffany with a pained expression. He frowned at me. That's enough, Grace. There's a limit to how dramatic you can be. My patience is also limited. I don't have time to play these jealous chase your wife games with you all day. If you continue to be so unreasonable, don't bother coming to find me again. Looking at Daniel's shameless face, I laughed out of anger. He confidently believed that all my actions were meant to make him coax me. He still thought he could summon me and dismiss me at will. Daniel, how can you be so arrogant? Do you think I conspired with two families to put on a show just to make you jealous? At this, Daniel's face had completely darkened. Grace, Daniel loves you so much, you've been dating for so many years. Now you're canceling the wedding just like that? Isn't that a bit too willful? And even if you're jealous, you shouldn't smash Daniel's mansion. At this remark, Mrs. Eleanor became even more agitated. That was worth 1 or 200 million, and the renovation alone cost tens of millions. Moreover, she considered her son the most exceptional, and all these years, she'd believed that Daniel's interest in me and dating me was my great honor. What? Grace, you actually dared to smash the mansion? I think Daniel has indulged you too much. You're completely out of control now. I casually brushed my bangs aside and spoke indifferently. If I'm not mistaken, that mansion belongs to me, right? Is there a problem with me smashing my own mansion? You already gifted that mansion to Daniel as premarital property. That makes it Daniel's mansion. Besides, Grace, so many people have liked my son over the years. And many are more outstanding than you. It's your good fortune that he dated you and was willing to marry you. What's more, you're almost 30, you're not a young girl in her early 20s anymore. If you cancel the wedding, who do you think would marry you? You've been dating my son for nearly 10 years, what's the difference from being divorced? If you don't marry my son, who do you think would want damaged goods like you? Don't come crying back to us begging Daniel to marry you then. How could anyone be this overly confident? I couldn't be bothered listening to their bickering. I called the security guards at the door and had them all ushered out. 8. The I had gifted Daniel was part of my premarital assets, considered part of my dowry. However, the transfer process was complicated, and it hadn't been formally registered under his name until now. Since the wedding was cancelled, I was entitled to reclaim the property. Upon learning that Daniel's family had caused a scene, Marcus showed up that same afternoon in a perfectly tailored suit, dressed particularly formally. With a blush, he handed me a red velvet box. I looked at him, bewildered. This is the ring I bought. We're getting married, so we can't not have rings. He scratched his head, looking embarrassed. That makes sense, but you can't expect me to put the ring on myself, can you? I laughed, looking at him, and then he suddenly understood. He hastily took the box from my hand and opened it. Grace, I originally planned for us to get our marriage license after the wedding next month. But I'm afraid things might change, especially since you and Daniel were together for quite a while, and I'm not confident I can win against him. So, how about we get our license today? I want to protect you as your husband. I looked at Marcus, surprised to see such an insecure side of him. But since we had already decided to get married, the timing of getting the license didn't matter as much. It would probably make him feel more at ease. Thinking this, I stood on tiptoe and kissed him. Wait a moment. Then, I turned and went to Grandpa's study to find my birth certificate and ID, for marriage license application. At the county's office, he couldn't stop smiling, holding the 2 marriage licenses he had just received. Then he pulled out his phone and took photos from various angles. I was a bit perplexed. Was it really that difficult to photograph a legal document, needing so many angles? He picked 2 photos he liked from his album and posted them on his social media feed, with the caption, "It's legal." I could genuinely feel his joy. What had started as a defiant proposal had turned into something he had been waiting for so long. So I asked the question many women in love ask. When did you start liking me? Hearing this, he stopped smiling and looked at me earnestly. A very, very long time ago, even before you liked that Daniel. That answer surprised me. But if he liked me, why had I never known? Because I thought you were too good, that I wasn't good enough for you. And I was even more afraid you wouldn't like me, so I never dared to say anything. He lowered his head, looking wronged. I originally thought that as soon as you broke up with that scoundrel Daniel, I'd immediately swoop in. But who knew you two would date for 10 years? It's way too late for me. I reached out and stroked his head. In my heart, I shouted, what kind of justice is this? Marcus, such an exceptional individual, is so insecure, yet Daniel is so overly confident. 9. The social circle is a strange thing. The so-called 6 degrees of separation is no myth. Even though Marcus and Daniel didn't have each other's contact information, the news of our marriage license still reached Daniel. As I was about to drive away, an unknown number called my phone. As soon as I answered, I heard Daniel's low growl, gritting his teeth in anger. Grace, you actually dared to secretly get a marriage license with another man behind my back. Crazy. You dared to cheat, kissing, and sleeping with another woman. I just got a marriage license, what's so daring about that? Making a fuss. Don't go slandering me, who cheated and slept with anyone. In the end, he roared into the phone. Grace, you better not regret this. I'll be waiting for the day you come back begging me. He hung up the phone with a pia sound. I looked at the beep beep sound on my phone and rolled my eyes. He's insane. I'm vengeful. If dared to cheat, I'd dare to make the Yi family disappear from Silverwood City, but said that this moment for revenge should be handled by him. So I nodded, agreeing, and became a hands-off manager. I looked at the man in the passenger seat. He wore a finely tailored suit, his fingers, holding the marriage license, were long, fair, and well-defined. If he wore a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, he could be called a suave scoundrel. Of course, not a scoundrel. 10. That same evening, I arranged for someone to place massive bulk orders with the Yi family. Then, with a grand gesture, cut off the supply of the most crucial raw materials for the Yi family's products. The family was overwhelmed by the orders, completely failing to notice whether their company had the capacity to handle such a volume of business. As expected, once the raw materials were cut off, they had to pay extra to buy them from a neighboring state's capital. On one hand, orders couldn't be fulfilled, and on the other, raw materials couldn't come in. The orders went past their deadline, facing huge penalties for breach of contract. Even worse, a massive financial loophole was discovered within the Yi. A deeper investigation revealed that someone had been embezzling large sums of cash from the company's accounts for personal use since 2 years prior. No sooner had the financial problems been uncovered than Tiffany disappeared. They tried to get a bank loan to fulfill the orders, but the bank rejected the Yi's loan request, citing high risk. In less than 2 months, the Yi was on its last legs. During the Yi family's desperate struggle, Marcus and I held a grand wedding. Many people online criticized me, calling me fickle and promiscuous. They also speculated whether Marcus had been cursed with voodoo dolls, wondering why he would marry a woman who was practically divorced. But simply posted 2 marriage licenses on his personal account, with the caption, willingly, and with joy. After disappeared, Daniel realized he had been used and furiously trashed Tiffany's home. The incident was filmed and posted online. Immediately, netizens engaged in heated discussions. Some recognized Daniel, speculating about the story between Marcus and me, and Daniel and Tiffany. Seeing the timing was right, I uploaded the photos I had of Daniel and Tiffany kissing, along with the text messages Tiffany occasionally sent me to flaunt about her and Daniel sleeping together, and the bedside photos she had taken for me. Suddenly, online public opinion did a complete U-turn. On one side, people condemned Daniel and Tiffany, on the other, they congratulated Marcus and me for finally finding happiness together. The family was completely kicked when they were down. 3 months after Marcus and I got married, I became pregnant. Marcus treated me like a national treasure, not letting me do anything at all. After one prenatal checkup, I was waiting for Marcus to pick me up outside community hospital. I ran into Daniel's mother, Mrs. Eleanor. The usually elegant and dignified Mrs. Eleanor now looked much more haggard. She saw me, and her former arrogant demeanor was gone. She took my hand and said with a smile, "Grace, you know, you've always been the daughter-in-law I approved of. Aunt will give you a chance. Help the Yee family overcome this difficulty, and Aunt will give Daniel another chance, okay?" I smiled and shook off her hand, deliberately flashing the pigeon egg pink diamond ring on my ring finger. I'm sorry, Aunt. My husband is very accomplished, and I have no plans for divorce at the moment. As for that idiot Daniel and a nightmare mother-in-law like you, I simply can't stand them. Please don't bother me or trouble me anymore. Just leave them for Tiffany. After speaking, I feigned a dramatic, covered my mouth. Oh, I forgot. Tiffany seems to have absconded with the funds. Mrs. Eleanor's face turned green with rage upon hearing this. Who do you think you are? Our family has been in business for 3 generations. Even if we go bankrupt, Daniel still has the heir of a wealthy scion. Do you think our Yee family can't do without you? Daniel will have no trouble finding an exceptional individual. With that, she glared at me fiercely. Speaking of Daniel, I suddenly remembered. I hadn't had time to deal with the mansion I had previously given him. I hired professionals to assess the current value of the property. I found the house tainted by bad memories and intended to sell it at a low price. As soon as I entered the mansion, I saw Daniel sitting on the floor in a state of despair. The floor was littered with empty liquor bottles. He looked up and saw me. He quickly crawled to my feet. Grace, did you come to see me? I knew you couldn't be so heartless as to abandon me, didn't I? Don't worry, I've already sent Tiffany away. I was wrong, will you forgive me? I promise I'll never make you angry again, and I'll keep my distance from all other women. Please don't leave me. He smelled foul, making me want to vomit. I moved back. Don't misunderstand. I'm just here to deal with this property. Hearing this, he actually started crying. Are you really going to be so ruthless, selling off our marital home? He looked at me, his eyes filled with regret. Grace, I was wrong. Let's get back together, okay? I promise to live a good life with you. Anything you want me to do, I'll do it if you just agree to get back with me. I crouched down, looking at him. Really, anything? Hearing this, he nodded eagerly. Then disappear from my world and stop bothering me. With that, I handed the matter over to the professionals. The person in charge looked at Daniel, who was kneeling on the floor, and then at me, looking somewhat troubled. Ask him to leave. If he doesn't, have the security guard escort him out. Then, I turned and left without another glance at him. 12 later, Daniel truly never appeared before me again. It wasn't until after my baby was born, on a bored afternoon scrolling through my phone, that I saw news of Daniel being arrested overseas and extradited back to face charges of suspected of murder. I clicked into the article and learned that he had sold off all the Yee family's assets and issued a bounty. Anyone who found Tiffany would receive $3 million. Then, after murdering Tiffany, he was caught red-handed with undeniable evidence by the police and apprehended and brought to justice on the spot. Before getting into the police cruiser, he looked at the camera with red eyes and said, "Grace, I wish you all the best." I felt disgusted and threw my phone 3 feet away without even closing the video. It almost hit Marcus, who was just coming home from work. He glanced at the screen, then walked to my side and pulled me into his arms. With a hint of jealousy, he said, "Why are you still following news about this person? He's a murderer now. Are you still longing for him?" I couldn't help but let out a giggle. "Honey, we're married, and our daughter is born. Who do you think I'd be longing for?" He then smiled and pecked my lips. "I'll be able to ease up on work in about a month. Have you decided where you want to go for our honeymoon?" His hand played with my hair as he looked at me tenderly. We had both been very busy after our wedding, and by the time we had free time, I was already pregnant. I couldn't take a long haul flight. Let's go chasing the northern. I've never done that before. Okay, then I'll go chasing the northern. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your views, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.